Everybody's got a price, it's the $1 million man. Podcast in demand. Understand, everybody's got a price. $1 million man. Everybody's got a price. $1 million man. Everybody's got a pod, it's the $1 million man. Podcast in demand. Understand, everybody's got a price. $1 million man. Everybody's got a price.
What's up, everybody? It's Marcus D'Angelo, and we are back for another episode of Everybody's Got a Pod. And of course, you guys know this man. That is the $1 million man, the Hall of Famer, the legend, Ted DiBiase. Ted, what's going on?
I'm going to let you introduce me all the time.
I feel like your personal MC.
No, I'm doing great, Marcus. How are you? Actually, it's raining today in Mississippi. So, and I don't know if it's moving your way or no, you're not. I keep thinking Atlanta. You're not in Atlanta.
Oh,
you're in Pittsburgh.
That's right. So I think
it's got to be pretty cold up there right now.
Dude, it's the past few days. I think I've shoveled my driveway in 4 days. I've shoveled it like 10 times.
Oh my God!
Nightmare. It was a nightmare. Today's a little bit warm. It's a balmy 30 degrees around here.
I used to shovel a lot of snow in Omaha, Nebraska.
Yeah,
a lot of snow. They have this new invention, Marcus. It's called a snow blower. And you just crank it up and it does the work. You got to get one.
It's funny. I'm so stubborn. My neighbors see me outside. I've got a pretty big yard. My neighbors see me outside with like my push mower and they're like, why don't you get a riding mower? And I'm like, I have to pay for that. And I'm like, I have this thing. It's fine. But as I get older, Ted, I'm starting to realize the value in stuff like snow blowers and riding mowers.
Buddy. Hey, gosh, 70 years old. I keep going, I can't be 70.
Well, you know what? Maybe I need a snow blower or a riding mower because you look great. I don't want to be looking worn down when I'm 70. So I better start saving myself now.
Well, and I think a lot of that, some of that is genetic. I know I went to like a heart doctor, and this was back when COVID was going on, and I got, I had COVID and was home for, almost 3 months. And anyway, but he told me, he says, Ted, he says, buddy, I don't know what you'll die of, but he says, I doubt seriously you'll ever die of a heart attack. And I said, why? He says, you have the arteries of a much younger man. And I'm like, wow, that's got to be good genetics or something.
Were you like a red meat eater as a young guy, or were you eating a lot of chicken for the gym, or what was your diet like?
Well, it's like, I've always been a meat eater.
Okay.
But you grew up in my family, again, Italian, I don't know. I didn't eat a lot of steak or anything, but like, yeah. And meatballs have bread in it, breadcrumbs. And you better know how you make them. I don't know. I know with my grandmother, like a lot of ribs and stuff like that, short ribs. And, the base of my mother's spaghetti sauce was a pork roast. And I remember it's like five cans of tomatoes, 5 cans of tomato paste, and all the stuff, and then you cook it all day. So it's all in the sauce, buddy.
It's certainly, as an Italian myself, I can attest to that. But yeah, I don't know, man. It sounds like that doesn't necessarily sound like heart healthy food all the time, but you're, as you said, just blessed with good genetics. Yeah. And this week it's our 9th edition of Ask Ted Anything, and we've got a bunch of fan questions. But this will be my question for you for the week, Ted.
Okay.
When you were in the business as an active wrestler, what was your diet like while you're on the road? Because we hear all the time that it's really difficult to find food that's healthy if you want to maintain a good body, right?
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of my eating, it's like I couldn't eat anything after like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, because if I did, I'd be thrown up in a ring. So a lot of times I didn't eat like I would like what uh, quick stop food, peanuts, beef jerky, whatever. But I drank a lot of beer. I mean, beer. I mean, when I traveled with Dick Murdoch, oh my gosh, I mean, unbelievable. I mean, he was such a great wrestler too. But he could drink that beer, man. And I mean, it's like it was kind of like that was the thing. It's like, especially again, territorial days. Depending on the trip you're going to make. We get to the town and everybody's got a cooler in their car. Stop at the 7-Eleven or wherever you can, get a case of beer, put it on ice, and it'll be ready for the trip home, or the trip to the next town. So there was a lot of on the road, drinking. Not necessarily for the driver, but everybody else in the car.
And that was like your meal whenever you'd leave. It's like,
yeah,
I'll just drink a couple beers.
But I mean, I mean, I never, like one of my favorite meals, even to this day, is breakfast. Like I love like 3 eggs over easy, the hash browns, and a double order of sausage or bacon or whatever, and toast. I love breakfast. Okay, something else, or so like easy, like hamburger steak, but again, at night after a wrestling show, you're talking about you're getting out at 10:30, 11 o'clock. Unless you stop like at a truck stop and go in and sit down and eat, and none of us ever did that. You would either eat when you got home or wait till the next day.
All right, we can start getting into these listener questions. I mentioned it's our 9th edition, and they brought it, brother. Hundreds and hundreds of questions came in. We will do as many as we can. Please keep them coming on Ted's social media, the show's social media, or you can send them to me at Marcus P. D'Angelo on Twitter, and we'll continue to build these questions up and roll over the ones we miss episode to episode. Before we do jump in, you guys know my shtick. I've got to remind you to get over to YouTube at youtube.com/@everybody'sgotapod and get subscribed. We've got a ton of great clips, full episodes, and now we even have 2 Hall of Famers sharing the page. That's right. Jim Duggan is part of the team, and we do a bi-monthly podcast exclusively on our YouTube channel called The Hacksaw Hour. Also, Jim provides videos of his day-to-day life, and so far we have a video with a tour of his house, and we also recently posted a video of Jim's personal wrestling collection. So support our show and enjoy some great content today at youtube.com/@everybody'sgotapod. All right, let's get into these questions, Ted. The first one is from Giggity Griggle, I guess is how you say it. One of your initial episodes, you talked about how Vince initially told you he wanted you to be present in the gym because of his focus on physique. Yours was more athletic/endurance based. Do you remember what your general fitness and nutrition regimen was during your best years?
Oh yeah, well, when I went, obviously after I signed with Vince, I started going to the gym on a regular basis, but it was, it wasn't like I didn't go with a trainer. I didn't have somebody, like edging me on. I mean, I had been enough of an athlete. I mean, I played high school and college football, so I was not unfamiliar with the gym. But when I started wrestling, and that's the thing, it's like, back in those days, you had some wrestlers that were, pretty, muscled up, but by and large, it wasn't like a necessity. Well, take for example, the Funk brothers. Dory Funk Jr. was a National Wrestling Alliance world champion. And he had a decent physique, but he didn't look like he was in the gym every day. And Terry a little bit more, but not, not muscle bound, and so there was just a lot of wrestlers that didn't, it's kind of like, Okay, I've got to drive where today, and how many hours it's going to take to get there, and then I got to go from there to where, and and all of this, you want me to get in the gym too? Dick Murdoch, Dick Murdoch, was a great wrestler. And he was famous for a big pot belly, a beer belly, you know. But I don't know. I mean, I started working out, and again, I've always told people, I said, I was one of those guys who just I never had the, at one time I had pretty good traps and a good chest but I've never had huge arms. I had big legs because I played, high school and college football. But none of that was like, I didn't ever have this sculptured look. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't want to.
Mhm.
That to me, that wasn't a big deal. I mean, but I wanted to obviously look like an athlete, and to appease Vince, I got in the gym. So the rest is history.
And how many of our favorites over the years are not like huge body guys? You, Jake, even modern day wrestling, like a guy like CM Punk, he's not like a body guy. He doesn't have this great, super impressive
Yeah,
body, but he's captivating in the ring. And
yeah,
really, that's probably the most important trait there is.
that's it. That's it.
Now, I know that food was catch as catch can out there on the road, but like when you would eat, are you watching? Are you being careful as you're eating? Because you don't want to overload on carbs or anything like that. Or how does that go? Not so much.
I didn't even know what carbs and protein were then when I started. Oh gosh, yeah, no. I mean, what was my diet? Oh well, a lot of truck stop food. A lot of cheeseburgers and of course I love Tex-Mex, man. I could eat Mexican food every day. I just, I love it. Like again, I grew up in the South and in Arizona, and was exposed to a lot of that. So I'm a big chicken and beef enchilada guy. But that was just, I mean, the nature of the beast back then. It's kind of like, number one, most guys, you can't really eat after maybe two or 3 o'clock at the latest, because you're going to be in the ring in like within 4 to 5 hours, and you don't want to have a heavy stomach, and you don't want to take a chance of blowing up in the ring and so you try to eat early. And I don't know, that was, again, it was catch as catch can. If I was home, it might be different. I can't even remember then what I would do, but I ate a lot of burgers. I ate a lot of chicken. I ate a lot of, that truck stop food. I mean, I actually grew up on some of that. My grandmother owned a truck stop
Oh, wow.
in Arizona.
All right, so that was familiar.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like one of my first jobs was I was the busboy.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. Sure. Busting them dishes, man.
Well, there you have it. You don't necessarily need to be eating nothing but chicken and turkey and all that stuff to be a pro wrestler. As long as you can get to the gym and you know how to work, you'll be fine.
Yeah. And of course, and the one thing that I would credit Ultimate Warrior for is, and because that was a big part of who he was, his body, his physique, and he did have a tremendous physique, and he was very dedicated, obviously, to the gym and probably what he ate. You would have to be to maintain that kind of physique, especially if you're now a wrestler and you're traveling like we traveled. So that wasn't easy for him to do. And so I give him credit for that.
Draybell is up next, and they ask, "What are your thoughts and memories on the late great Yokozuna? What did you think of him as a wrestling talent and as a person?"
Wow, Yokozuna was a very likable guy. He was, very likable guy. I had, I don't think anybody, I can't think anybody that had any huge issue with Yokozuna. Just a good, very, very good guy. And, you know, again, for his size, he got around that ring pretty good.
Yes.
I mean, it's kind of like that was what impressed me was for his size, his mobility was, I would say, much better than any other person I had ever seen that was as big as him. He had really, I mean, he was really strong. I mean, he was obviously big and heavy and, but Yokozuna, and it's kind of like, it's like, well, I mean, I would compare that to like sumo wrestlers.
Mm-hmm.
Sumo wrestlers, they train them from birth almost. I mean, from very young age, and they get real big. But I tell you what, if you ever, you could probably make football players out of sumo wrestlers real easy, because you want to, when they say go, and they start pushing each other, it's unreal.
Yeah.
So anyway, good guy. Liked him very much.
Did you know that John Tenta was a sumo wrestler before he got into pro wrestling?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. Pretty impressive guy.
Yeah, he was.
Okay, guys, let's take a quick break to talk about taking care of some serious business. And I'm talking about taking care of business in the bedroom. And if you're trying to take care of business, you need to try Blue Chew. Guys, let's just take a minute to talk about sex. You remember back in the day when you were always ready to go? Well, with a little help from Blue Chew, you can get that thing so hard you can take it hunting. It's going to help increase your performance and regain that old confidence in bed. Blue Chew is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra, but in chewable tablets and at a fraction of the cost. You can take them anytime, day or night, so you can plan ahead or be ready when the opportunity arises. The process is simple. Sign up at bluechew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. And you want to know the best part? It's all done online. No awkward visits to the doctor's office, no weird conversations, no waiting in line at the pharmacy anymore. Blue Chew's tablets are made right here in the USA and prepared and shipped direct to your door in a discreet package, but of course there will be nothing discreet about your package. Look, guys, I ordinarily like to try things before I make any kind of a commitment, because you want to find out, is this actually going to work? Will it work for me? Well, that's got to be the best part of this whole thing. With our deal, you can try it for a month for free. All you have to do is pay $5 shipping. This whole time, you and your partner may have been having the best sex of your whole life and been missing out on it without even knowing. So why not just give Blue Chew a shot? Just find out. When you can get it for a month for free with only $5 shipping, it's silly not to just give it a try. Women are attracted to confidence, and Blue Chew can help to give you confidence where it counts the very most. Don't wait any longer. Let's chew it and do it. Take advantage of our special deal. Again, you can try Blue Chew free when you use our promo code EGAP at checkout. Just pay $5 shipping. That's bluechew.com, promo code EGAP, and receive your first month free. Visit bluechew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring the podcast. And so Jake tells a story about being backstage, and he and Haku decided to try each other in a friendly way in like a sumo style wrestling match in the locker room. Any chance you were present for that?
I missed it. I wish I'd have been there. What did Jake say about it?
Jake said everybody got the hell out of the way.
Well, yeah. Well, and again, I'll go this far. Haku was one of the nicest guys I ever met. He is, and he still is. I mean, he is still around. And when he first came, he came from the island of Tonga, and he went to Japan. And Japan sent him to the United States. So the first place he started wrestling, because the Funks booked most of the American wrestlers for All Japan Pro Wrestling, he came to Amarillo, and I was there. And so, I've known him for a very, very long time. Now, he wasn't as big as he got to be, and I remember this too. I remember, like, you go your separate ways, and but friendly, and thank goodness, that Haku is the nicest guy as he is. Because if he wanted to be a bully, I mean, if there was ever a guy that could be in a room all by himself just because he wanted to be, it would be him. He was one of the toughest son of a guns going. And I would never witnessed it, but I've heard some stories about some skirmishes he was in, and being outnumbered, but it didn't matter.
Yeah, I've heard stories that, like, people losing body parts when they get into a fight with Haku. Like, he'll bite your nose off or pull your eye out. It's like,
Yeah,
maybe not a guy to mess with.
yeah, not a guy to mess with.
Teflon Man 23 asks, I think you had the greatest mic skills as a heel ever between you, Rick Rude, and Honky Tonk Man. Do you have a personal favorite between Rude and Honky Tonk Man?
Oh gosh, not really. I mean, both of those guys. I mean, I thought Rick was very good, and I mean, and Honky Tonk Man. I mean, based on, again, the gimmick, the Honky Tonk Man. He took that, and like, it was like, I remember thinking, gosh, if I'd been wrestling, and if I'd gone to Vince, and he'd have said, no, I'm going to make you the Honky Tonk Man, I wouldn't have been very happy about it. No, but I think he did a tremendous job. Yeah, I mean, they played their parts very well.
So even with you being a massive Elvis fan, you wouldn't have been interested in the Honky Tonk Man character?
No, I don't think I could go there. No.
You got that great head of hair. I'm picturing you with, like, the long sideburns. I think this could have worked.
Well, here's the really funny thing is that my biological father was a professional singer.
Oh, perfect.
His name was Ted Wills, and he was a regular on the old Tennessee Ernie Ford show, which none of the fans will probably even remember. But he had this tremendous, beautiful, deep bass voice. And you know what? I have a deep bass voice, but I couldn't carry a tune if it had handles on it. Matter of fact, my wife Melanie gets mad at me in church because we're singing the church hymns, right? And she'll give me an elbow, and she goes, Ted, you're tone deaf and your voice carries. Shut up.
Well, that was going to be my next question. Like, hey, he's got the Honky Tonk Man look. Can he sing? So there's our answer.
I couldn't sing.
I asked Jake this question as we're recording this. He and I recorded yesterday, as a matter of fact, and somebody wanted to know if he was offered big money in his prime to come up with a new gimmick for himself. So Vince comes to him and says, hey, want to change your gimmick? You can choose it. I'm going to give you a ton of money to be this character, but you need a strong character. And he was like, yeah, I don't know. I think I'd be like kind of a Charles Manson type character. And I'm like, oh, that would definitely work for you. Ted, I'll ask you the same question. Big money on the line. Vince is like, hey, I know the $1 Million Man thing has been great, but I want to change your gimmick. What character would you choose for yourself? Is there anything that sticks out?
What I like, in other words, I'm still a heel.
Still a heel, or you can be a baby face, but just like, pick a new, big, compelling, over the top character for yourself.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jake said Charles Manson.
He was like, he said he wanted to be called Uncle Charlie, and he'd have like his stable of people, and he'd be like a cult leader. And I'm like, that actually really works for you. But what's funny, Ted, is before he and I had talked about that that I don't know if you're familiar with the faction, the Brood, which was a faction of vampires in the late 90s, and like Edge and Christian were in it, and Gangrel. And I was like, I could kind of see you being a vampire too. And he's like, I would love to play a vampire. So it's like he's between cult leader and vampire. Anything stick out for you?
Oh, wow, man. Wow.
It's a tough one, I know, because you really got to kind of self-analyze, like what would work for me.
What would work for me? Got a deep voice. Take advantage of my voice, and I don't know. Maybe a wolf man.
So when you and Jake both went like supernatural, I like it. Wolf, so like you would transform. Yeah, I can picture it. You like climb under the ring, and they have some prosthetics down there for you, and you come out, and you're a wolf now. There you go. We just hit a home run.
Oh gosh, oh man, I don't know. That's I never gave that.
Well, you nailed it on the first try. You're a wolf man. That's the new gimmick.
Wolf Man. I used to love those movies when I was a little kid.
Like Lon Chaney Jr.
Oh yeah. Oh, and he was the best. He was the best wolf man of all, and he was the first. And I tell you what, it was like my parents got to where they wouldn't let me watch the movies because I would like. I remember after watching one of those movies, like the Wolfman, it's like the top of his head, because of the way the hair was just kind of like, well, kind of like this, but bushier, right?
Yeah.
So I remember as a kid, I'm being put to bed. I'm going to bed, and I got a nightlight. Well, the reflection of the nightlight in my room on the headboard, it made a shadow on the ceiling that looked like that.
The Wolfman's head.
Like just the top of the Wolfman's head. As you're a little kid like that, oh my gosh, he's at the foot of my bed. He's going to get me.
So your parents.
And I go running to my mom and my dad, and they go, "That's it. No more scary movies for you, pal."
Well, it's a perfect tie-in for your new character. I'm gonna make some calls and see if I can get you booked on the Indies as the Wolfman. All right, up next we've got Calvin, who asks, who had the best working punch? Anybody stick out for you?
Me.
You.
And actually, I've had a lot of guys have just other guys in the business have said that to me. You throw a real good working punch, and I would say I copied guys like Dick Murdoch, Terry Funk, those guys. But that was one of those things that I would practice. I would stand in front of a wall, and I would, put my fist on the wall, and so I'm this far away, I'm arm's length away from the wall, and then I would practice by, throwing the punch and just barely hitting the wall.
Did you ever really crack the wall and hurt your hand?
No, I didn't.
All right. What a pro.
So yeah, I don't know, but I appreciate. Yeah.
I've heard your name come up in that conversation a lot too. You, Terry Funk, Jake, and actually Jake said I have the best working punch too. So he feels the same way. Now what about the stiffest working punch, Ted? Who would hit you with it and you'd be like, "Whoo, boy, this guy brings it every time."
Well, nobody ever hit me with a working punch real hard. I mean, I'm not trying to think. Well, if anybody did, they only did it once. Because in the business, there's a thing called the receipt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if you screw up like that, then expect the receipt. And, I can't remember.
Now, there were a couple of older guys in the business. Two names stand out for me that were like notoriously rough. They don't mean anything by it. That's just how they wrestle. One is Stan Hansen, and one is Wahoo McDaniel. Now I know that you've been in the ring with Stan Hansen. When Stan would hit you, I know that he would bring it, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, not in a, okay, it would be, yeah, I was Stan's tag team partner.
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of like, sometimes, like, it's like, Stan was, he was stiff. But I mean, in Japan, I think that was just part of the way they worked there.
Okay.
They were a little snugger than most, and like, throwing chops, especially throwing chops and stuff. But yeah, yeah.
Now, when you came into Japan, were you aware that that was going to happen, or when you first come over there, is it like, did you think these guys were taking some liberties with you?
Well, no, I didn't. I never thought that. I mean, I just, just I was just told. They said they work snug, and so I'm okay with snug. I mean, as long as you're not, not as long as you're not hitting me hard enough that you're gonna, give me a black eye or something like that.
Yeah.
But just snug is snug, and that's snug is fine with me. Some guys don't like snug. I just don't, like just barely want to feel you. It's like, yeah, well, if you want that, go find a broad.
That's it. Snug looks good on camera too.
Yeah,
So yeah, just don't hit me in the mouth or the nose. Well, so I brought up Wahoo McDaniel there. That's probably not a name we're gonna get to talk about a lot here. Did you ever get to work with Wahoo?
I never got to work with Wahoo. I saw him work. I met him. Thought he was a great guy, but I never had the opportunity to get in the ring with him.
How
Yeah,
about that? I always just assumed that everybody from that era you would cross paths with at some point and probably stepped into the ring with, but that's when you just missed.
and I saw Wahoo. I mean, I remember. I think there was one day I came over to Murdoch's house and Wahoo was sitting on the couch. He was there for, I don't know who he was working with, but I met him, liked him. I don't think anybody could say anything bad about Wahoo, but I mean, it's like everybody knew if you work with him, he's snug.
Yeah, unanimously liked, but also pretty much as you just said, everybody who's worked with him over the years says like love the guy, but
Yeah,
boy did he bring it on those chops.
yeah, yeah.
Walt Temmer is up next. What TV shows are you watching? Any recommendations?
What TV shows? Oh gosh, TV shows. Um, well, I watch a lot of movies. I don't get into the sitcoms too much. Uh, I just, the daytime, like, the daytime television, like the, General Hospital, all that, bleh. That couldn't interest me at all. I enjoy, like, oh gosh, what is it? America's Got Talent.
Okay.
I like to watch that. I'm trying to think of another one that's not like that, but similar in some ways.
Like The
Uh,
Voice.
The Voice, yeah, I like watching The Voice. I really like The Voice because and The Voice has produced some real big. They've produced some people that came through that show have gone on to have enormous careers, which
Yeah.
is pretty cool. But yeah, it's stuff like that. That's But for me, I'm a movie guy. My wife, she says, Ted, she goes, um, if you would, if you want to watch a movie, you go watch your war movies while I'm gone, so we can watch something else when I'm here. I like war movies. I like shoot 'em ups. You know.
Now,
So.
any in particular stick out as like a personal favorite?
Oh gosh, man.
Like a Saving Private Ryan or some of the older ones?
Okay, like, this was just recently on TV, and I remember seeing that as a young boy, The Alamo.
Oh, great one.
Yeah, with John Wayne. And it's the first time, and I was a little kid, and it's the first time I ever saw John Wayne get killed. He didn't get killed in any other movie, and he got killed in The Alamo. So that was one of them. Oh gosh, Pearl Harbor. The real story of Pearl Harbor. That's that one intrigued me. The ones that are pretty much like world. Oh my gosh.
Saving Private Ryan.
Yes. That was a very good movie. A very, very, very good movie. Yeah. There was a movie on Top Gun.
Ah, yeah.
Top Gun was one of my favorite movies. And the sequel to Top Gun was, in my opinion, just as good, if not better.
Wow.
And I think they're talking about making another one.
I haven't seen the sequel, but I love the first one.
Yeah, you haven't seen the sequel?
I have not seen it yet.
Oh, you got to see it, man.
I'm gonna have to check it out. I like old movies like with John Wayne and stuff too. I love Rio Bravo.
Yeah.
John Wayne and Dean Martin. I actually met Angie Dickinson at one point, and I was like, "Hey, I loved you in Rio Bravo." She was like, She's like, "How old are you? You know Rio Bravo?" I'm like, "I loved it." Yeah.
Yeah. Says, well, let me tell you, Pilgrim, John Wayne.
That's a great impression. You're a man of many impressions. I'm coming to learn.
Yeah, that's the road, the American dream. Twisted feel and sex appeal. I'm funky like a monkey, if you will.
Who would you say is your best impression? Is it Dusty?
Yeah, probably. I love the dream, man.
Well, guys, the new year is here, and if you're like me, your resolution might not just be to shake off a couple extra pounds, but it might also be to become a little less busy. In my world, like many others, time is at an all-time premium between work and parenting, maintaining a house, and preparing meals. Making a delicious home-cooked meal takes up a lot of time, and I'm not about to go and spend a bunch of money on takeout or unhealthy fast food. That is where Factor comes in. Factor's ready-to-eat meal delivery takes the stress out of meal planning and sets you up for success in the new year. Skip the grocery stores, the prep work, and cooking fatigue. Instead, get chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals delivered right to your door. Worried about variety or a dietary restriction? Factor's got you covered with over 35 meals to choose from per week, including options like keto, calorie smart, vegan plus veggie, and more. Plus, over 55 weekly add-ons. That is a lot of nutritious and flavorful options to kickstart your resolutions. Seriously, guys, Factor's 2-minute meals are like a secret weapon for your new year. Fuel up fast with restaurant-quality meals, all delivered right to your door. Think about it. This is an opportunity for you to reclaim all that lost time that would have otherwise been spent on shopping and prepping and cooking and cleaning. Factor has absolutely everything you need for a week of flavorful, nutritious eats. In addition to ready-to-eat meals, they have cold-pressed juices, smoothies, energy bites, extra protein, veggie sides, and more to keep you energized during these frantic times. If you love snacking, Factor also has options to suit those needs, like breakfast smoothies, juices, snacks, and more. Also, you don't have to lock yourself in. Factor is flexible. Change your order up every week with plans from 4 to 18 meals per week, or pause or reschedule your deliveries anytime. It's time, guys. Meet, achieve, and crush your goals this new year with healthy meals and a lot of added time. Head to factormeals.com/EGAP50 and use our code EGAP50 to get 50% off. That is an unbeatable deal on something that's going to save you time and money. Again, it's code EGAP50 at factormeals.com/EGAP50 to get 50% off today. Give it a try, guys. I know you're going to love it just like I do. Next up, we've got, well, actually, it's my brother Dominic wanted to ask one. He asks, where would Ted have liked to progress the $1 Million Man identity if he had creative control? So that's kind of a wide range question. I'll narrow it down a little bit. Ted, if the $1 Million Man would have been in the WWF during the Attitude Era with like Steve Austin running around and The Rock and Triple H, do you think he would have fit in during that time?
The Attitude Era. Well, yeah, but he would, and as opposed to the, I think he would have had to have been a much more, like the evil businessman.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I got a deal for you, pal. And then shove it to him.
Yeah, I can almost see the $1 Million Man in like a commissioner role or something during that period of time where he's just like crooked, like willing to take payoffs and stuff. I think that could have worked.
Yeah.
Steve DeBoer, I guess is how you say it. What was it like having Chuck Norris be part of the casket match between Undertaker and Yokozuna at Survivor Series? Did you get any interaction with Chuck?
Well, I met him, and had an opportunity to chat with him a little bit. I mean, again, like us, brother, he shares the same faith and is a very strong believer. And so that was interesting to find out.
Wow, how about that? I didn't know that he was a man of faith, so that's really cool.
Yeah.
Jim Duggan recently shared a photo on his social media of him with Muhammad Ali back in 1985 with Mid-South Wrestling. Were you there that night at the Superdome?
I think I was.
And it was the night that he punched Jake, if that rings a bell for you. Muhammad did.
Yeah. I want to say I saw him somewhere else too.
I know that he was like around WCW on a few occasions, but I don't know if he would have been around during the period that you were there.
Oh gosh.
But you've definitely met Muhammad Ali at some point?
Yes, and I even think I have an autograph, but I can't remember where it is.
That's a great one to have, though. Greatest boxer of all time.
Oh yeah. Dang. That's going to bug me now, Marcus. I'm going to have to dig that thing up. Anyway, I didn't, I wasn't like an autograph collector, but the few that I have are pretty cool.
What other autographs do you have or like, hold close?
I have a baseball signed by Mickey Mantle.
Whoa. That is a great one.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was at a I'm trying to think, you know who Walter Payton is?
Yeah.
Well, Walter Payton and his brother and I, we've been on hunting trips together because they live here. And, and Walter's brother, Eddie Payton, also played pro football. I think he was a kickoff return guy. And I want to say for the Minnesota Vikings. I'm not sure, but Eddie Payton played golf. Eddie Payton was the golf coach at Jackson State University. And he said, man, you need to start playing golf. So he gave me a few lessons, and then he got me to this, a celebrity golf tournament. And I actually played in a few of them because, it's all the proceeds go to some charity.
Yeah.
But anyway, at one of these golf tournaments, Mickey Mantle was there. And and somebody threw me a ball, and I was sitting and said, "Mick, would you mind signing this for me?" And he signed it.
How about that?
Yeah, that's one to hang on to.
Well, pretty cool. I mean, Mickey Mantle and Muhammad Ali, arguably the two best in their sports ever. So,
Yeah.
man, that's badass autographs. All right, Ted, we'll do two more and then I'll let you go, brother. Wesley Moore asks, which wrestlers from your era were a hard day at the office and which were like a day off? So anybody you like just absolutely dreaded having to step into the ring with, like, oh, this guy's gonna be brutal.
Well, so let's go. The day off guys would be like, especially guys who helped shape my career. Terry Funk, Dory Funk Jr., I would say Stan, but Stan was not so much. Stan was more my partner than somebody who influenced my style or anything like that. Oh my gosh, the Funks in a huge way made a difference. Dick Murdoch, again, these are guys that were the generation more or less just ahead of me that helped shape my career. Like I said, Dick Murdoch, a guy, Killer Carl Cox.
Mm-hmm.
You're all Killer Carl Cox, in my estimation. I think was one of the greatest heels of all time.
Wow.
I mean, he could do it all. He could do it all. And he and Murdoch had one of the greatest feuds that I've ever witnessed in terms of, and they did it while they were working for Bill Watts in Mid-South. They were just great.
So when you say that these guys were like a day off, is it because they're like, they're kind of managing the match?
Well, like a day off means I don't have to. I don't have to worry about anything. It's like, and it's not so much. It's kind of like if I wrestled Jake, that'd be a day off because we both come from the same side, the same, what do you call it?
mentality
Of the same. We both believe in the same psychology of wrestling and how it is and how it works. And so for us to work together sometimes it's like, sometimes it's, obviously there is some communication between us in the match. He'd call spot, or I'd call spot. And there's sometimes it would just be body, it's kind of like, for example, just a simple one. If he were to hit me with a shot and I turned around and grabbed my jaw and started walking towards, stumbling towards the corner, well, then Jake would just come up behind me and grab my hair and run my head into the turnbuckle. And with that, a lot of times I would then turn around and, open up, I'm still selling, but I'm leaning with my back in the corner. There's an opportunity for him to gut punch me, to chop me, whatever, turnbuckle me. But a lot of that, that's an easy night. Now, a hard night would be wrestling somebody you have to hold their hand the whole match, and I can't think of anybody off the top of my head like that. I'm sure there've been several, but it's kind of like well, the Ultimate Warrior. Here's a guy who was making the big money, and he was totally dependent on whoever was in the ring with him to call the match because he couldn't.
And so when you're out in the ring with a guy like that, you're probably literally grabbing him and pulling him where you want him to be at times.
Yeah, more or less. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, it is.
Recently, a video of you surfaced on Twitter where you and actually Bryant Haremza is the guy who shared it with me. It's you in this video wrestling a young Shawn Michaels while you're in Mid South, when Shawn Michaels was an enhancement talent. And so it makes me wonder, Ted, even that early on, a young Shawn Michaels, were you like, boy, this kid can go? Or what was it like working with him at that age?
Well, I mean, he was real young. I mean, he was like brand new, you know,
Hmm.
and it was kind of like he was, you know, like very quiet in the dressing room. That all changed. But you know, Sean, uh, yeah, I mean, it's kind of like you got it or you don't. You know, you can see it, and you can see it in him. It's kind of like, okay, you're a rookie now, but you're gonna go places.
Well, we're going places here on the show, Ted. We another really fun episode of Ask Ted Anything is in the books. And by the way, we got through maybe, I don't know, a quarter of the questions here. So we're gonna roll them over to the next episode because I mean, yeah, I mean, you and I
Yep.
wound up BSing a little bit, but that was awesome. What a fun episode and a cool way to kind of pick your brain here once a month.
Yeah.
Always ask
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
So come back next week. Ted and I are going to continue the story of his time in Georgia 40 years ago in 1984 and his red hot feud with Tommy Rich as Mr. R. Now, before we let you guys go, we want to remind you, please do not forget to vote for us as the best wrestling podcast of 2024 through the Sports Podcast Awards. It only takes a couple of minutes, and it would mean the world to Ted and I if we could win this honor. You can find the link to vote on my X account at Marcus P. D'Angelo, on Ted's social media at MDM Ted DiBiase, or probably the easiest route is just go to sportspodcastgroup.com and cast your vote right now. Ted, another great episode in the books. I always look forward to chatting with you every week, my friend.
I love it. You know, and one more thing that I want everybody to please, please, please remember: everybody's got a price for the $1 Million Man.
We'll catch you guys next time right here on Everybody's Got a Pod.